Hey everyone, it's Desiree. We are going to get out of our comfort zone today. So I have grabbed my Canson XL Mixed Media pad, and I love this pad. And I'm going to grab some acrylic paints. So I'm going to line them up along the side. And basically what I'm showing you, I'm going to show you how you make a background. A while ago, I used to make kits, and I used to have classes. And I would provide the majority of the supplies, but what I mainly would supply is a background, a distressed looking background like you do in art journals. And that's what I'm showing you here. So the white is actually gesso. So I always prepped my page with gesso. And when I use acrylics, I like to add water to them just to make it a little more flowy. It doesn't make them fluid acrylics, but it does flow a little better for me. So as I said, I used to provide these kits or packets, let's say, of these different backgrounds that I would do, because to me, when I do this, it clears my brain, so to speak. When I get stumped, or, we keep creating cards and whatever we create, whether it's cards, whether it's we sew, or whatever we do to be a creative, sometimes we get into a block. And with, doing a channel, you're constantly doing these things. So sometimes you just get stumped. Now, trust me, I've got things lined up going on here. But I hit a stump. So when I do this, it clears my head. And I just remembered back into the days when I did this. I did it about 1.5 years ago with a pretty nice sized group. So again, I would just apply. Now, some of the backgrounds would be done in acrylics. Some of them would be done in watercolors. But they were very, very different. And they got about 4 or 5 different backgrounds. And they were I would just take this page and cut it in quarters. So each packet was a little different, maybe the same color scheme. But you can see once I've got my colors down, now I'm going to add this blue, and I'm just throwing in colors, making sure I'm not crossing colors that would make mud. So like we say sometimes. So kind of staying within a cool family. I know blues are okay to go in with the pinks and the purples because that's what I ranged with. And I'm just adding some colors and just letting it go. And that's what we need to do once in a while. We can do it with our cards. And this is a little gabby of a video. It's kind of different, but stay with me. I'm actually going to turn this page into cards. So I'm actually kind of doing one of the classes that I did about 1.5 years ago. I'm going to show you what we did. Now, sometimes they would want to learn how to do the backgrounds, and I had the supplies for that too, because it is fun. It is fun. I still did enjoy, even though I had problems with that Hero Arts kit. If you haven't seen those prior videos, I had a ball making those backgrounds. It's a lot of fun, and you can make some really great cards, general cards, when it comes to this. So the camera doesn't pick up the colors. It kind of makes it go, wow, this is really sore looking. But it's really not. It's actually really pretty. And yes, I got a new heat gun. Oh my God, love the heat gun. So that's what we've got going on here. So now I'm just grabbing some of my gesso. I like that for a white sometimes. So just if you've seen other art journals, we push it to the back. I didn't want this to be so bright. So just by streaking, letting the brush not be completely saturated with water, somewhat dry, almost damp, and just letting it scratch along the top of it. And this is what we have. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So I took it out of my pad. I cut along the edges. I don't like to tear them out because I tend to tear through the page. So I just snipped along the top, and now I'm just going to trim it down a little bit more so that I can get it into my cutter. And for this, usually, as I said, everybody would get, these are 9x12 sheets. They would get a 4.5x6 panel. Again, different panels. I'm going to cut these down into an ATC size, an artist trading card. So it's 2.5x3.5. So I'm going to be able to make multiple cards in reality. Excuse me. So once I cut those, now I could have kept them as one sheet, which again, it's your option. I was just going with it. So I did cut them. So I'm going to use repositional tape and I'm going to put them down onto what I call my scratch pad. So now they won't move. Because now what I want to do, I want to pull in my stamps. At this point, you can pull in stencils, which is, I did that sometimes, or you can use your stencils with texture paste, and I did that sometimes. And what I like to do when I use my stamps, I like to use archival ink, and I have all of the little mini pads. When I saw these came in the mini pads, I was very excited. Oh, yes. And now I'm just going to stamp. There's no rhyme or reason to it. We're just going to stamp. I can cross over into the two panels right now. just placing it all over the place. So setting up some backgrounds. You can see I'm going to have some detailed stamps. And what I mean by that, just here, because of course I didn't record it. Yeah, that would be my fault. So bad. Oh, so sorry. But I had some butterflies there from Tim Holtz. The Paris stamp was from Tim Holtz. But you will see me use the Prima stamps that I have off the side there. I'm so sorry. I totally forgot to hit the record. See, we get lost. We get lost in what we're doing. And again, this does it. It clears my head. So I'm going to use the black now. I used a turquoise and a fuchsia that kind of matched. That were the two colors that I used in the background for the other stamps. And now these will be strategically placed onto these panels. I do look at these stamps as the focal point. Remember, when we create cards, we do have that focal point, whether it's something we used our alcohol markers with, or watercolored, or just stamped, there is a focal point. So that's what these items are going to become, and that's why I chose the black, just so that they would stand out. In this case, these sections here do have a vintage feel because of the stamps that I'm using. And usually when I'm doing these types of backgrounds, and when I did set up those kits, they did have a vintage feel. For some reason, it's something that I gravitate to. I did not, though, when it came to making these kits, I would have stopped at the fuchsia and the turquoise. The participants had their own stamps. They could pull them in. They could stamp on top and create their own focal points. So again, they had just the freedom. They got the card bases. They got these. They got sentiments. They had everything. If they wanted to add their own touch, they could. I removed them from the tablet that I had them on, the scratch pad, and I removed the adhesive on the back. And now, again, I could have kept them there while I did this. I like to cover, when I did these, cover them with like a matte medium. It just seals them. Even though acrylic paints are permanent, the archival inks are permanent, I just am used to, because of my art journaling, to cover it up with matte medium, because I would 9 out of 10 come in with a Faber-Castell Pitt pen with India ink. So now I have the panels done. So let's make some cards. Yes, I've pulled in my Penny Black vintage frames. I'm loving this one. It's still second to my wonky, but I am loving those dies. So I chose 3 of them, and I cut them out using the die. And for the first card, I used a larger size of the die, and I used black cardstock. So I'm going to prop this section, or this little card here, up with foam tape. And I'm kind of doing that on an angle, just to give it a different type of edge, to match the feel of the designs on them. And I'm going to place that down onto my card base. And again, card bases are 4 1/4, 5 1/2 top folding. So sentiments. Create your own sentiments. We have handwriting. There is a certain way that we write that is unique, and we don't need to say that we have horrible handwriting. It's unique. So what I would supply, I would use just the regular jelly pens. They don't skip for me. A strip of black cardstock. I have these in a little tiny box just sitting there. And I would write words of encouragement, kindness, believe, sparkle, loved, be kind, those types of things. And I would give them a bunch of them in the kit so that they could just have fun with them. And I had them on white cardstock, and I would use a black pen, or the black cardstock, and I would use the white. So this is card number 1. I think anybody would love to see that card. The next card, I'm going to complete my other 2 sentiments. So I grabbed a couple more strips, again, still using the original Gelly white pen, not the new ones that have come out. I know they've come out with different size. So this one, I'm going to script the word beautiful. Again, I don't have beautiful perfect handwriting. I said beautiful because I just wrote that. But if I go really slow, I can make it look like it's supposed to somewhat. But it's mine. It's unique. So we've got beautiful and believe. So these are going to be the next 2 sentiments for the cards. I grabbed a piece of navy blue from my bin. I did use the larger size frame die from the Penny Black vintage frame, but I tore one edge. You know, y'all knew I was going to tear an edge, right? And I scrunched it up. Just distressed it myself. I'm going to prop the decorated or designed panel up on top, and then I'm going to take this panel and I'm going to set that on my card, kind of centering it off to the left, and you can see I put the art journal design up in the left-hand corner of that. And now I'm just going to attach the believe. I'm going to fishtail the one end of it, and I prop that up onto some foam squares cut for the size, and I'm going to trim off the edge. And that's the next card. For the final one, yep, we're going to tear paper some more. I love tearing paper. I find it very therapeutic to tear paper. I don't think we ever need a shredder in our house because I just tear the paper up. I don't shred it. So I was playing around with some different colors. I was really pulled towards the black. So I have a strip here that's torn on each side, and I'm going to place that down towards the bottom. Again, I don't like to center things or have things on straight angles, you know, sometimes. So we're kind of wigging out here. So I grabbed a piece of white and I did the same thing, and I'm just going to stagger that on top of the black. And then I'm going to do the same thing again with another piece of black. So we're going to have a black, a white, and a black strip. So it's going to look like this is layering down on each other. I'm not going to curl them up. I'm good with just that straggled edge. I'm not going to put a backing onto the art journal page. I'm just going to apply that down, and I'm going to set my sentiment down onto the card base. I'm going to trim off all of the edges, get a larger pair of scissors to make it easier to do it in one slice. And that's how you can make cards. So when you get blocked, just scribble. Scribble down on a piece of paper and grab what you have, whether it's acrylic paints. And again, I used acrylic paints from A.C. Moore's or Michael's. They don't, yes, I have the Delusions, but it doesn't have to be them. And I think these are beautiful cards, and they could be a great collection and gift sets. So again, this is something that I used to do with a group of people that I used to gather around with, and we just had a ball. They couldn't wait for the next series that I came out with, or I would dig into my stash of what I had. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it encourages you to dig in, have fun with your backgrounds. If you have any questions on these items that I used to do, let me know. I am thinking about recreating the kits and making them available. Let me know your thoughts on that. Give me a thumbs up if you like this. Again, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We have a great time here. Thank you for your comments. I get back to you as soon as I can. And please, everybody, remember, no matter how you do it, always be creative. And yep, this was different.